I want you to imagine something for a second. Imagine you have spent 30 years building a map. But I'm not talking about a map of a coastline or a city or even a star chart. I'm talking about a map of what happens after you die. You've charted the highways, you've found the dead ends, you've marked, the dangerous neighborhoods and the safe havens. You have treated the afterlife not as some mystical dream, but as a geography, a place with physics, with rules, and inhabitants.
That's a massive undertaking.
It is. Now imagine you are 70 years old. You're tired. You spent decades doing this. And the person you love most in the world, your wife, is dying of cancer. Suddenly that map isn't just an intellectual project anymore. It isn't just data. It's an escape plan.
And that context, I think, changes everything about the book we're discussing today.
It does. Today we are doing a deep dive into Ultimate Journey. It is the final book by Robert Monroe. And if you've been with us for the previous dives into his earlier work, you know the vibe. But I have to warn you right up front, this one feels different.
It feels final.
Exactly.
I think before we get too deep into the weeds, though, we need to sort of reset the room on who Robert Monroe actually was. Because if someone is just tuning in and they hear mapping the afterlife, they're going to picture, I don't know, a guru on a mountaintop. They're going to picture incense and crystals.
Right. And that is the exact opposite of who this guy was.
Robert Monroe was a chain-smoking, rational radio executive from Virginia, a businessman, an engineer at heart. He built a media empire. He did not want to be a mystic. In 1958, when he started floating out of his body, his first reaction wasn't, "I'm enlightened." It was,
I have a brain tumor.
Yes. He was terrified. He went to his doctor. He asked for a complete psychiatric evaluation because he was convinced he was losing his mind.
Right.
And that matters. Because when we talk about Ultimate Journey, we aren't reading the diary of a prophet who's trying to sell us a religion. We are reading the logbook of a very, very reluctant explorer who spent decades trying to apply the scientific method to the soul.
That's the hook. That's the whole thing. He approached the afterlife the same way a cartographer approaches a new continent. He wanted to know where the food was, where the predators were, and how to get from point A to point B.
But Joe, to your point earlier, this book, Ultimate Journey, it just doesn't have that same wide-eyed curiosity that his earlier books had.
Yeah.
Journeys Out of the Body was like, wow, look at this, I can fly. This book feels urgent.
It feels heavy.
It feels like he knows the clock is ticking for him, for Nancy, for everyone.
Well, let's look at the timeline. He's writing this in the early 90s. He's in his late 70s. And this brings us to the first major cluster of our discussion, the shift. Because the catalyst for this specific journey isn't curiosity, it's Nancy.
His wife.
Nancy was everything to him. In the earlier accounts, she's the one grounding him. She's the anchor. He goes off on these wild interdimensional trips, meets entities, explores other realities, but he always comes back to Nancy. And now, in this book, she is diagnosed with terminal cancer.
It's just heartbreaking to read because you can feel his desperation. He calls it the variable.
Right.
He realizes that this unexpected change, this tragedy, is forcing him to grow. But it's not just philosophical for him, not at all. He needs to know. He specifically says he needs to know that she is going to be okay. He isn't exploring for fun anymore. He is scouting the route for her.
Which brings the first major hurdle he encounters. And this is something that, whether you buy the metaphysical aspect or not, is a fascinating psychological observation. Monroe claims that the only thing locking us into this physical system, the only thing that blinds us to the map he's trying to draw, is fear.
He calls it the Great Wall.
Yeah. And this is where I have to push back a little bit, or at least, play the devil's advocate. Monroe views fear as this artificial construct. He says we learn it. He says we are born with only two fears, loud noises and falling. Everything else, fear of the dark, fear of pain, fear of death, is learned software. And he thinks it's malware.
Well, isn't it? I mean, look at how much of our lives are dictated by fears that aren't actually real. Anxiety about the future, fear of what other people think. It's crippling.
Sure, in a modern social context, anxiety is maladaptive. I get that. But biologically, fear is software 1.0. It is the survival instinct. If you don't fear the tiger, you get eaten. If you don't fear the cliff edge, you fall off. Monroe seems to be suggesting that to evolve, to get to where he's going, we have to bypass a fundamental survival mechanism. He's saying that if you remove fear entirely, you become free. But my question is, if you remove fear entirely, do you stop being human?
Monroe would argue that's exactly the point.
Touché.
No, really. He says that to leave the physical system, to go where he went, you have to stop being human, at least in the limited way we define it. He talks about his early experiences. He spent, what, a year just trying to get past the panic of being out of his body?
He says, unknowns create fear. We are afraid of death because it's the ultimate unknown. But his logic is, if you turn the unknown into a known, if you go there, look around, map it, and come back, the fear evaporates. You can't be afraid of the room next door once you've walked into it a few times.
That I can accept. Knowledge dissolves anxiety. That makes perfect sense.
So once he dissolves that fear, he starts to perceive the structure of the place.
Yeah.
And this is where the engineer in him really comes out. He tries to define the physics of the non-physical. He talks about the M field.
Right. This is his attempt to unify physics and metaphysics. It's a grand theory of everything, really.
Break that down for us, Zed. How do you read his definition of the M field?
It's interesting. He describes the M field as a non-physical energy spectrum that permeates everything. It's everywhere. It's the background static of the universe. He argues that matter, this table, our bodies, the microphone, is just frozen or chaotic energy within that field.
Like ice in water.
That's a perfect analogy. The ice is made of the same stuff as the water. It's just vibrated differently. It's denser. But then he goes a step further. He says, thought is a perturbation of the M field. Emotion is a band within the M field.
So telepathy isn't magic in his model.
No, not at all. In his model, telepathy is just radio. If I think a thought, I am broadcasting a wave through the M field. If you are tuned to the right frequency, you pick it up. He calls it layered intelligence forming energy, LIFE.
Clever acronym.
It is. But it frames spirits or ghosts not as supernatural entities, but as signals. They are broadcasting on a band of the M field that our physical receivers, our five senses, usually filter out. We are tuned to the AM station of physical reality. Monroe figured out how to tune the dial to FM.
And once he tuned that dial, he found the interstate.
That metaphor stuck with me, the interstate. He doesn't describe the afterlife as a cloud or a dream. He describes it as a highway system.
With traffic.
Lots of traffic. So let's drive it. Let's map the territory because he creates a very specific numbering system for this. He calls them focus levels.
Which again is the engineer speaking. He needs a taxonomy. He needs labels for the map.
He starts right around the Earth. The immediate non-physical area, he calls it the H band. And frankly, this part gave me the creeps.
It's the noise.
Describe the noise, Amanda.
He describes the Earth as being surrounded by a chaotic, screening ring of uncontrolled thought and emotion. It's the cacophony of billions of human minds. Fear, anger, lust, panic, greed, all radiating out into the M field constantly.
It sounds like the internet.
It really does.
No, I'm serious. Think about it. If you visualize Twitter or X as an energy field, that's exactly what it would look like, a screaming ring of uncontrolled emotion.
But Monroe says this noise has a physical effect. She says it acts like a kind of gravity well. When people die, if they are attached to earthly things, if they are full of anger or addiction or obsession, they get stuck in the noise. They can't punch through it.
It's dense. It holds you down, like swimming in mud.
And that leads us to Focus 23. This is the holding area. Or maybe the asylum, depending on how you look at it.
Focus 23 is populated by the people who get stuck.
These are the people who have died, shed the physical body, but they don't know they're dead. Or they're locked in a trauma loop.
Ugh. These stories are the hardest to read. He talks about people reliving their death over and over and over, or people just waiting. There's the story of the man in the cave.
Set the scene for us.
Monroe is exploring, and he senses a consciousness trapped in a dark, crushing confinement. He tunes in, and it's a man who was caught in a cave-in, a mining accident.
But the accident was in the 1940s.
Right, so this guy has been sitting in the dark waiting for a rescue team for 40 years.
But to him, in that state, time doesn't exist. It feels like he's been there for maybe a few hours. He's just waiting.
So Monroe has to engage in what he calls a retrieval. He goes into the simulation, he goes into the caves.
And the empathy required here is just staggering.
Yeah.
He doesn't go in and preach. He doesn't say, hey, you're a ghost. He takes the man's hand. He says, the rescue team isn't coming. Look at your body over there. It's broken. You aren't inside it anymore.
And he leaves him out.
Now, Zed, I see you making notes over there.
Well, this is where the skeptic in me has to pause the tape. Because this is a beautiful story. It's moving. But we have to ask, is Monroe literally rescuing the ghost of a miner who died in 1948? Or is he engaging in a kind of active imagination?
Unpack that. What do you mean?
Think about Jungian psychology. We all have parts of ourselves that feel trapped, parts of us that feel crushed in the dark. Is it possible that Monroe is projecting his own feelings of entrapment onto a symbol, the miner, and then rescuing it as a way to heal himself? Is this an external reality, or is it the architecture of his own subconscious?
Hold that thought, put a pin in it, because that question, is it a ghost or is it me, is actually the central twist of this entire book. Monroe addresses it, and the answer is, well, it's complicated. But before we get to the twist, we have to get past the next layer of the map, focus 24, 25, and 26.
The belief system territories.
Or, as I like to call them, the hollow heavens.
This just, it blew my mind. It resonates so much with how human nature works.
Yeah.
Monroe says that if you die with a rigid set of beliefs, if you are a fundamentalist who expects pearly gates, or a warrior who expects Valhalla, you get it.
You get exactly what you expect.
But it's a trap.
It's a cul-de-sac. It's a dead end.
He describes these massive territories in the non-physical. You have millions of souls singing hymns. You have banquets. You have battlefields. But they're created by the collective expectation of the inhabitants.
It's an echo chamber, a literal metaphysical echo chamber.
Imagine being in a place where everyone agrees with you. Everyone sings the same songs. Everyone follows the same rules. For the first week, it's paradise. For the first year, it's okay. After 1,000 years.
It's hell. Or at least it's stagnation. Complete and total stagnation.
Monroe says these are hollow because there is no growth. You are just recycling the same imagery over and over.
And the only way out is boredom. He suggests that eventually a soul might look up from the hymnal or the banquet table and ask, is this it? Is there anything else? And the moment the curiosity sparks, the moment the dogma cracks, they disappear from that level and move up.
To focus 27, the park.
This is the place in the book that feels safe. It feels like coming home. He calls it the reception center.
It's designed by advanced human minds to be a landing zone for people who have made it through the noise and the hollow heavens.
And it looks like a university campus.
Oh dear.
Or a library. Or a beautiful park. It's designed to be comforting. This is where he finds his friends. He finds his father there, resting in a quiet room, recovering from the long illness of life.
But notice the detail Monroe includes here, because he's always observing the mechanism. He's always the engineer. He visits his friend Charlie, who has passed away. Charlie has built himself a beach cabin in Focus 27. Monroe picks up a blade of grass. He tastes it. It has texture. It has flavor. But he knows it is a mental construct. Charlie is manifesting the cabin.
It's like a multiplayer server.
That's exactly how I read it. It's a shared, lucid dream environment. If you want a cabin, you think a cabin. The environment is responsive.
But the purpose of Focus 27 isn't to stay there forever. It's a way station. It's where you review the life you just lived. It's where you plan the next one.
And this is where the book takes a hard left turn. It's where you decide not to go back at all.
This leads us to the I there.
Let's slow down here. This is cluster 3, identity. This concept, the I there, is probably the most complex idea in the book, but it's the key to everything Monroe is talking about.
Most people, when they think of reincarnation, they think of a line, a timeline.
Right. I was a Roman soldier in 100 AD. I died. Then I was a peasant in 1400. Then I died. Now I'm Joe.
Sequential, one after the other, a string of beads.
Monroe says, no, that's wrong. That's a human way of looking at it.
He says that time is an illusion of the physical world.
Yeah.
In the M field, there is no time. Everything is simultaneous.
So imagine a wheel. The hub of the wheel is your total self, the I there.
Yeah.
The spokes are the different lives.
And the wheel puts all the spokes down on the ground at the same time.
Exactly. So right now, while you are listening to this, your Roman soldier self is fighting in Gaul. Your space pilot self from the year 3000 is flying a ship. And your current self is sitting in traffic. All of them are happening now.
And they are all connected to the same hub, the I there.
Monroe claims that he can access this hub. He calls it the executive committee.
XCOM.
He literally holds board meetings with himself. He goes into a deep trance and consults with his other personalities. He taps into the experience of the Roman soldier. He borrows the calm of the monk.
And this brings us back to the question I asked about the miner in the cave. The ghost rescue.
Right, because halfway through the book, Monroe has a realization that it shakes him.
He realizes he wasn't rescuing strangers.
He's doing these retrievals, the miner, a little girl in a hospital, a soldier on a battlefield, and suddenly he recognizes the energy signature.
It's him.
They're spokes of his own wheel that got stuck. They're parts of him.
That is a profound idea. I mean, really profound.
It changes the whole narrative.
Yeah.
He wasn't playing hero for the universe. He was collecting himself.
Think about what that means psychologically. He's suggesting that trauma is essentially leaving a piece of yourself behind in a dark moment, A part of you is still trapped in
Hmm.
that car accident. A part of you is still trapped in that bad breakup. And healing, true healing, is going back, finding that frozen version of yourself and bringing it home to the present.
It gave me goosebumps when I read it because it
Mm.
implies we are fragmented, we are scattered across time, and the mission of life, the ultimate journey, is to gather the
They
pieces.
gather the gifts. That's what he calls it.
Yeah.
You have to bring all the spokes back into the hub because you can't leave. You can't graduate from the Earth system until you are whole,
And that concept of graduation implies there is a school. And if there is a school, there's usually a principal or a headmaster.
which leads us to cluster 4, the encounters,
Hmm.
because he meets some big things out there.
The inspects.
Intelligent species, beings of light that have guided him since his first book. He used to view them as angels.
Yeah.
He felt small around them. But in this book, once he understands the I there, he realizes who they are.
They are him.
They are his own I there, communicated from a state of wholeness.
It's the ultimate closed time loop. The being pulling you up the mountain is just you, from the top of the mountain, reaching a hand back down.
It's so empowering. It means we have that wisdom inside us already. We just have to learn how to access it.
But not all the encounters are friendly. And we have to talk about the God scene.
Oh boy. Yeah. This is the scene that usually stops people in their tracks.
Set the scene for us because it's written like a thriller.
Monroe's traveling deep in the non-physical. He's way past the park. He's exploring the outer edges. And suddenly, he is seized. He describes it as being crushed by a massive, overwhelming force. He feels like he's drowning in quicksand.
And a voice booms out, "I am the Lord thy God whom you serve."
It demands worship. It demands fear. It shows him images of suffering, of people bowing, and says, "Do you not fear me?"
No, most people in that situation, you're a tiny speck of consciousness facing a giant deity. You bow. You pray.
It's the instinct. It's the programming.
Monroe, he gets angry.
He remembers his training. He remembers that he is an immortal energy being. He realizes that nothing real could be destroyed.
So he doesn't bow. He laughs.
That is such a power move.
He laughs in the face of this angry god. And he does something visual. He projects an image of himself blowing apart, exploding, and then pulling himself back together. He basically says, "You can't hurt me. I am sovereign. I am whole."
And the entity, it just shrinks.
Yeah.
It turns into a whiny small point of light and vanishes.
It was a bully.
This is pure Gnosticism.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the Gnostic texts from 2,000 years ago, they talk about the demiurge, a false god that created the material world and demands worship because it's insecure. Monroe is tapping into a very old idea here. The idea that the god of religious history, the angry, jealous, punishing father figure, might just be a wild thought form,
A thought
a
form.
massive accumulated complex of human fear and expectation that has taken on a life of its own. We created it with our fear, so it feeds on fear.
It's the ultimate rejection of external authority. Monroe
Yeah.
is saying we have to grow up. We can't look for a parent to punish or reward us anymore. We have to be our own authority.
It was a test. If you fear it, you are subject to it. If you realize your own nature, you surpass it.
But after that heavy scene, the book throws a curveball. He meets Talo.
I love Tala.
Talo the space dolphin.
Essentially, yes, Talo is an entity from a completely different energy system. He's not human. He's never been human. He's just touring the universe. He's a tourist.
And he looks at humanity, at us, struggling, fighting, dying, and he is fascinated. But not because we're spiritual.
No, he thinks we are hilarious.
He thinks we are funny.
He calls us one in a million. He says the Earth is a unique school because we generate such high-amplitude emotion. We are the reality TV show of the galaxy. We scream, we cry, we fall in love, we kill each other over ideas. To a being like Talo, who comes from a place of pure, harmonious energy, we are fascinatingly chaotic.
It puts things in perspective, doesn't it? To the universe, we aren't sinners or saints. We're entertainment.
But Talo makes a crucial point about why he doesn't get stuck here. He says he has no Velcro.
Attachments.
He's smooth. He can slide in and out of our reality because he doesn't crave anything. We get stuck because we are sticky. We love people. We hate people. We want revenge. We want forgiveness. That stickiness, that emotion, is what keeps us recycling.
Which leads us to the final cluster, the ultimate claim, the exit.
The aperture.
Monroe has gathered his I there cluster. He has faced the false god. He has mapped the territory. And he finds the edge of the map. He describes the physical universe, all the galaxies, stars, planets, as a hologram.
Simulation theory, plain and simple.
A learning hologram created by an emitter through an aperture.
And keep in mind, he's writing this years before The Matrix came out. He is saying Earth is a schoolhouse. It's a simulator designed to teach us one specific thing.
The missing basic.
The big L, love.
Okay, just to step in for a second, because when you say love is the answer, it sounds like a greeting card. It sounds like a pop song. It feels soft.
But Monroe defines it like an engineer.
He does. He's not talking about romance. He's not talking about liking someone. He's talking about a specific vibration of energy, a very specific frequency.
He says that because Earth is so hard, because we are separated, because we are in these dense bodies, because we are sticky, when we manage to connect, when we manage to love selflessly in this difficult environment, we generate a super rare type of energy. He calls it louche in the other books, but here he calls it the basic. It's a commodity.
We are here to manufacture this energy. We are generators. And once you have generated enough of it, and once you have gathered all your lost parts and cleaned up your eye there, you reach escape velocity.
You win the game.
The end game.
Monroe claims that his eye there, his entire cluster of past, present, and future selves, is packing its bags. They are leaving the Earth system entirely.
In the year 3500.
Right. He sees a vision of the future, a massive exodus, thousands of evolved clusters leaving the physical simulator to go somewhere else, somewhere beyond the aperture, to their original home.
It's bittersweet, though. He talks about visiting his original home. He calls it KT-95 and realizing he doesn't fit there anymore either. He's changed. The Earth experience changed him.
There is a terrifying side to this ultimate journey, though, if he's right. Nothing we build here matters.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, if this is just a simulator to generate love energy and then leave, then the pyramids don't matter. The skyscrapers don't matter. The political empires don't matter. They are just stage props in a high school play. Once the play is over, you strike the set. The only thing you take with you is the basic, the quality of your consciousness.
But maybe that's the point. Maybe we put so much value on the props because we forgot we were actors.
Monroe died in 1995, shortly after this book was published. The book ends on a very quiet note. He says he found the missing basic. He was ready.
It felt like a goodbye, not just a book ending. It felt like a man signing off from the frequency.
So we have this map. We have the H-band noise, the hollow heavens, the eye there cluster, and the exit. The question I want to leave with the listener is, what do you do with it?
Even if you reject the metaphysics, even if you think Monroe was just a brilliant man having a very long, complex, lucid dream, the psychological tools are undeniable.
How so?
The idea that fear is the barrier, that is actionable. The idea that we are fragmented and need to retrieve our lost parts to be whole, that is actionable advice for anyone dealing with trauma.
And the idea that we are never alone, that we are part of a larger team and executive committee that is rooting for us. That changes how you walk through the world. It changes how you handle loneliness.
It forces a question on you. If you are just one finger of a larger hand, who is really living your life right now? Is it you? Or are you just the sensor gathering data for the hand?
And maybe your job isn't to figure it all out. Maybe your job is just to feel the texture of the table, to taste the coffee, to generate that basic energy in the middle of the chaos.
I think the job is to remember the hand, to bring the piece of the eye there down here into the noise, to be a clear signal in the static.
Monroe asked us, are you listening to the static? Or are you tuning into the signal?
And hey, watch out for those hollow heavens if you find yourself singing hymns for 1,000 years.
Check the exit signs. Let's sit with that. That's a wrap on our deep dive into Ultimate Journey. I'm Joe.
I'm Amanda. See you on the interstate.